Morning. Hi, folks. I'm Larry Winget, the pit bull of personal development and six-time New York Times Wall Street Journal bestselling author. And today I'm joined by Libby Adams. Libby, welcome.
Thank you. It's so great to be here with you, Larry. What an honor.
Hey, Libby, tell us all what you do for a living.
You know, you know how people talk about, getting in an elevator and tell them in 30 seconds? For me, what I do is best explained. It's like when I tell you why I do it, you'll know what I do. It'll be very clear.
Okay.
Like what happened was, and the reason I even do this business is because back in the 80s, my ex-husband played professional basketball, my husband at the time. And after he played for 5 years in the NBA and he got cut, he did not have the skills to be able to cope making the transition from that kind of life to what we call real life. And I know that because I taught school for 9 years and we are not taught those kind of life skills. So his way of coping was he did drugs. And so he landed himself in a 28-day rehab program. And so here's the thing, Larry. So one day the director comes up to me and she says, "Your husband is doing so well. He's the president of the rehab group." And I'm thinking, oh, great. He's got rehab. They got rehab. Everyone's got rehab. Meanwhile, I'm out here coping with the kids, trying to keep our life together, his life together, the whole thing. And Larry, I was exhausted. And you know what I said? I'll never forget it. I'm like, where's my damn rehab? Right? Because life is hard. Life is hard. Work is hard. Marriage is hard. And we all need to rehab something, right? But like where and how? And like, there's a TV show where they're rehabbing houses. It's like, well, what does rehab mean? Rehab is when you're restoring something back to the way it was, right? Or maybe even improving it. And so, but you can't, like a person who's not a drug addict or alcoholic, you just can't go up to a facility and go, I hate my job. Can I just check in for 28 days, and so we can deal with this. But here comes to what I do. So now you can. I created a 28-day rehab program because when we say we all need to rehab something, somebody's got to rehab their past, like a lot of what's happening in drugs and alcohol. Somebody needs to rehab their finances. They need to rehab their career. They need to rehab their relationship. They need to rehab their health, right? So now there's a place for everybody, for people that don't have a drug and alcohol problem, can have their own rehab. Because the other thing that I said that is just, to me, is like a make sense question is, why does somebody have to be a drug addict or an alcoholic to get a good 28-day program, right? So I've been doing that for 18 years, day in and day out. And what's great is they don't have to check into a facility. I just do it on Zoom, right? So that's what it is. So what I do, see, that's why I can't at the beginning. It's like, what do you do, Libby? It's like, I did rehab, Larry. People are like, I don't even know what you're talking about right now, right? But now you do.
So what kind of people typically do you end up working with then? You don't work with the drugs and alcohol people. You work with all kinds of people. What typically do you see out there?
I would probably say 80% of the people that I work with are traders. Like on Wall Street, they're trading stocks and commodities. And those guys have a lot of stress and they need to rehab their focus. They need to be able to like not be freaking out, and all that stuff because it's going to cost them money. But what's interesting is after those guys, and I'd probably say 95% are men, after they go through the program, their wives go through the program. They're like, wow, they see the changes in their husband. They say, well, I want to do that, right? So they have careers, or maybe they're a stay-at-home mom. It's like the best thing that you actually ever told me, Larry, is that we all need to rehab something. Because it actually makes sense.
Everybody does have something in their life they wish were better or different, or they could just strip away all the crap that's happened over the years and get back to the foundation. I love the comparison of rehabbing houses. I watch all those shows. And what they always do is pull off all the worn out sheetrock and cabinets and get back to a good foundation. Is that kind of the same thing?
It's exactly the same thing. Or if they didn't have a good foundation, they're going to get one. Now, the one thing I don't make any secrets about is it's a spiritual program. So what they're going to do is if they don't have a strong connection with some kind of higher power, and it's not religion, they can call it God, higher power, infinite intelligence, like Napoleon Hill does, whatever they call that, because that is the secret sauce of peak performance, is to tap into some higher force and utilize that, right, for whatever it is we're working on. I'll give you an example. So this will really make sense of the higher power, okay? In 2002, so it wasn't that long after 9/11, one of my students was a pilot for a major airline, and even one of the airlines, I think, that crashed into the towers. He said to me, Libby, every time I go up, I feel like I'm playing Russian roulette. Now, how stressful is that for somebody who flies all day long every day? And so we did one of my processes, which here comes the higher power. So it's a visualization, visualizing higher power. Here, he called it God. Visualizing the part that says, I'm afraid of playing Russian roulette every time I go up. And I facilitate a conversation between these two. So God says to this part, I'm flying the plane. And then the hands come together and the part's like, oh, God's flying the plane. He never had one more worry about it. And that was that. That was a one and done. So he rehabbed the belief that, that he was the only one flying the plane and like all the responsibility was on his shoulders.
What do you say to people who automatically, when you say it's a spiritual program, just kind of push back and go, listen, you don't know how I grew up. I grew up Pentecostal, and I'm tired of all that churchy stuff, and I'm tired of the religion stuff, and I don't buy into the woo-woo spiritual stuff. How do you talk to that person?
So, Larry, I get a lot of those people. And so, listen, this is about you developing some kind of a spiritual framework that you're comfortable with, that I call the gospel according to Larry, the gospel according to Fred. And you come up with something that works for you because you're not tied to any kind of a religion.
So you're not trying to convert people to something. There's none of that stuff going on.
No. I'm not even trying to convert them to be spiritual. If they're not, I'm like, that's okay. But then what I say is, but this program probably wouldn't be a good fit, because then you'd be wondering, why is she always talking about this higher power? So I just screen them.
So how would somebody listen to us right now? They go, I'm dealing with a lot. I am stressed. I've got a lot going on in my life. There's just too much and I can't sort it all out. And I do need a rehab. How would they know they're perfect? What are they going through that would give them a signal that says, I'm the perfect person to pick up the phone and call Libby?
The biggest thing that people are aware of and they notice are negative emotions. I feel stressed. But the student I started 2 days ago, he's like, I'm angry all the time. Like these negative emotions, stress, anger, fear and anxiety, depression. So those negative emotions are the biggest clues that something is amiss in their life.
Now, we all have negative emotions every day.
Yes.
And I mean, I get mad and I have moments of depression and I have lots of moments of angst and all those things. Everybody does. Yes. But you're saying they'd have to be kind of overwhelmed with it. It would have to sort of be present all the time. And there are plenty of people like that.
I would, yeah. So we would say they're kind of living there, right?
Got it.
They're living in that place to the point where it's disruptive.
So quickly kind of walk me through what the process of the 28 days kind of looks like, so people would know kind of what they're getting into.
Yeah. The first thing I do, I never put anybody into the 28-day program like straight away, because I'm not going to ask somebody to sign up for 28 days of like, they don't even know if they're going to like day one. So I do a little 2-hour session. It's like dip your toe in the transformational water, see if this is a good fit. And we take one of these issues, like the guy flying the plane, or take an issue. Let's work on it, see how that goes, see how you like it. But then It's like 95% of I screen them for that also, so that I know they're going to be successful. So then I offer them the 28-day program. And so what that looks like is a combination. It's a combination of spiritual connection and learning to trust in the invisible realm, which is as woo-woo as it gets. But you know what? A lot of people really like it and want to learn that. You know, there's a lot of openness to spiritual stuff. So connection with a higher power. Then there are life skills. There are 28 life skills. Like day one is about desire. You know how Napoleon Hill was talking about desire? It's like you got to have the white heat, hot, burning desire to be able to do something. So it's actually a skill for people to know what they want. You can ask a lot of people, what do you want? They're like, I don't know. And then day two is clarity. Well, let's get clear about what you want. And then, you know, we move through that week. The second week is about, you got to be aware of your thoughts and your emotions and learn how to shift, like what we were talking about. Yeah, we go into these things, but let's get some tools to shift out of them more quickly, right? And then the third week is about power, and the fourth week is about real ways of being fearless, being loving, being, you know, grateful, and ultimately day 28 is being free. So these life skills, but in the meantime, there's also goal achievement. It's like, what do you want to have happen? We got daily plan, we got the weekly plan, we got the monthly plan. So skills, spiritual connection for extra juice, and goal achievement.
And I imagine, because a lot of people have the things that you're talking about here, and it doesn't work for them, I imagine a huge part of this is an accountability part.
You know what? You're so right to say that. I was being interviewed, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and they said, what would you say is the most common reason of why somebody would not work with you? And I said, because they think they can do it on their own. Mm-hmm. Like, people need a coach, right? I have a coach. I've been doing this for 27 years. I always have a coach. You're one of my coaches, right? If somebody is smart, it's like, let's get somebody to coach you. So it's very important to have that accountability, support and accountability, right? For, for the goal attainment. I wanted to tell you one other quick story, because it's another one of those poignant things, and to show you the varied people. My personal trainer, her husband was a race car driver. And this isn't, everything is confidential, but this one is not confidential. And she said he's crashing into walls. So he's on TV, not the NASCAR, but the Porsches and the Ferraris, that category. She said he's crashing into walls and I'm afraid he's going to die. So we rehabbed his mental attitude while he's driving. And so after 28 days, we got everything all in order. And he won the national title for that division that year. And what he said to me was, Libby, when I put on my helmet, God's driving the car. And I said, well, apparently God likes to drive fast and safely.
So people at home that are going through this and say, I do need to at least have the initial conversation with you, how do they get in touch with you?
They can email me at libby@academyofselfknowledge.com, because what I love to do is just have an initial free, like what do you need to rehab session, right? It's like, what's going on? What do you need to do? See if they're a good fit, see if they think they're a good fit. And if they want to, put them into the 2-hour session.
There you go. Now, people get interested and they're going, I'm going to pick up the phone and call, but they still maybe don't trust you yet. And they need to know that what you say really works. Give folks a really practical and tactical thing they can do that do today, that they'll start to see some sort of immediate results. So they'll say, she knows what she's talking about.
The thing that I would do is actually have them watch my video. It's free. And that would, in that video, the practical thing and tactical thing they'll do is I'll guide them through a meditation so they can try it, right? And see what they think. And in addition to that, Larry, on that 2-hour session, that's a money back guarantee. Because like you're talking about trust, I'm like, look, you don't know me. You don't know if this is going to work or not. If you don't like the results or you didn't get what you thought, you're going to get your money back, because I'm the one that I should screen you. I should know what I'm talking about. And if I don't, you should not pay me.
So it's really, you got nothing to lose. Why not try?
Yes. Yes. And that video is at academyofselfknowledge.com. And you just put in your name and address, and there's a free video. And then before even talking to me, it's like, watch this stuff, see if it makes sense. Do this little meditation where you connect with your higher power, because that's what I said is the secret sauce. See how that goes. If you like that, email me, we'll talk, 2-hour session, whatever. So the student is in the driver's seat in terms of like testing it out and seeing, what they're liking or not.
Well, I know you'll put the link up here so people will be able to go to your site and be able to watch that video and walk through the guided meditation. And listen, this has been enlightening for everybody who's watched here, and I know you're going to get a lot of calls. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Larry. I really appreciate your time, and it's so great to see you.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.